Well, this is really, really insane to me because my story is a bicycle story. But also, I did want to say before I said that little story, I do want to say that me and another cousin of mine, which is also involved in the bicycle incident of 1996, we would take our bike across the road from my house, and there was all these trails. And at one point, I literally we mapped out these trails, and we wrote like we named them, with our own names. I don't know what they were, and this was probably in like the mid '90s. Up till a few, I don't know, maybe 5, 10 years ago, I still had that map. I don't know if I have it anymore, but it would be really cool and interesting to see and to look at. Uh, but my story is about it's called The Bicycle Incident of 1996. So it's very interesting that you brought up bicycles because we don't plan this stuff ahead, people. We just go with the flow because we are socially awkward. But my incident is this. I remember, I'm going to preface the story as well by saying that my mom always told me, and his mom, my cousin's mom, always told him to stay off the highway. My mom told me the same thing. Well, one time we decided, no, we're going to go take a ride on the side of the highway, and we were gonna go to these kind of like local, it was like a convenience store. Not really a gas station, but a convenience store where you could go and get convenient things that you needed. And we were actually going there. I was 13 at the time, and I think he was 12. We were going there to get candy cigarettes. I don't even know if they still make candy cigarettes, but back in the day they did. And these were just things where you could pretend like you were smoking and you were a kid, and then you would eat them. And honestly, I don't even remember them tasting that great, but for some reason we liked them. So we were going to go there. But halfway there, my foot slipped off the pedal, and then I fell and I broke my arm. And I remember that scenario because I remember getting up off the bike, and I don't know if I was going like this, and like this was just out. It was the bone was like out to here. And I remember like going like this and to my cousin to be like, I gotta like I gotta get to the hospital. I think I broke my arm. And I remember the funniest thing he said. Obviously, it wasn't funny at the time, but he's like, "No, we got to get back." There was a road that wasn't the highway, that was kind of like kitty corner to where we were. And he's like, "We got to get to that road because we're not supposed to be on the highway." So it was just kind of a funny situation. Luckily, my brother happened to be driving through like 10 minutes later on that highway, and he saw me and he brought me back to my house. And then my parents brought me to the emergency room. And that wasn't fun because I think I broke my arm around, I don't know, 6, 7 o'clock in the evening. And I didn't get to see a doctor until like 1 a.m. And by the way, they snapped my arm back into place with no meds. They just did it. And so they snapped my bone back into place, and just kind of like out of nowhere, I was like, whoa. So yeah, so that's just it stands out in my head because I got a plate in there, and in that part of where my arm was broken. And that's obviously something I'm gonna remember for the rest of my life. So yeah, it's just kind of a funny little '90s story.
Wow. Where did that snapping your arm back into place that the doctor did, where did that fall on the pain scale 1 to 10?
I don't really remember. I do remember that it was really painful, but luckily it was like it was only painful when he actually snapped it back, and then it felt fine again. So it was probably like, maybe 5 seconds or less of pain. But I do remember it being pretty painful. Probably, I'm sure it was probably close to a 10 on the scale. But yeah. It was not fun,
Yeah.
and then eventually I like they that was back when they actually tried to get things to heal by themselves, like bones to heal by themselves, but it wasn't lining up correctly or wasn't healing correctly, so I had to get a plate. And I think nowadays it's mainly plates. I think they just give everybody plates nowadays if they break something. For the most part, I don't know.
It's like a restaurant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. It's like, here you go. Here's some plates. Yeah, mine's got some silverware in there and a dessert menu. It's wonderful.
Yeah. I